Hello, folks, and of course, as we build up to Thursday night's a huge Europa League last 16 first leg clash against Benfica, I'm delighted to say I'm joined by someone who lives not too far away from Lisbon, and he's a Benfica season ticket holder, a Rangers fan as well. So he's going to give us a wee bit of insight into what we can expect when the two teams meet. First of all, Ian McAlister, how are we doing?
Good, very, very well, thank you. Yeah, good to be on.
Yeah, no, it's great to have you on. I'm hugely thankful to a mutual friend that we know, Derek Curry, for putting me in touch with your good self to give us a wee bit of chat on this game. In terms of I know you're a Rangers supporter. You've travelled a fair bit. Where does your Rangers love come from?
I think coming from the west of Scotland, that's it, you know. But I mean, it's actually next week's a big one for me because this will be the first time I've actually seen Rangers in many years, and I'm taking my dad to the game as well. So it's a big event for us.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. And of course, you've been just outside of Lisbon for 18 months. Am I right?
Yes.
Thinking you've been living there, and you and your wife have season tickets for Benfica. So you know a fair bit about them. How big a challenge is this going to be, do you think?
It will be a challenge, but I certainly think Rangers are in with a good chance. If you'd asked me a year ago, it might have been different. A year ago, Benfica were a very, very good side, but they lost. Fernandes, who went to Chelsea.
Yeah.
And then they lost Gonçalo Ramos to Paris. And he was a 30-goal-a-season striker who hasn't been replaced. And they also lost, I don't know how much people follow European football, but they lost the left-back Grimaldo to Bayer Leverkusen, who gave them such an option going forward. So they're still a good team, but the replacements that have come in for the players that they lost aren't possibly at the same level.
Yeah, and of course, have you watched? I mean, not in the flesh, but you've watched Rangers recently and on television. You keep up to date with what's going on back home.
Basically, I don't see many live matches, but I watch sports scene. Yeah.
And of course, under the new manager, Philippe Clement, things have picked up. I certainly wouldn't have fancied Rangers against Benfica a few months ago, but they've certainly picked up under the new manager. Of course, great result against Real Betis to top the group, and now taking on Benfica. Of course, the two teams met a few seasons ago, Ian, and I think Rangers let Benfica off the hook in the two games, but Rangers going up against Benfica. What's the sort of word over there in Portugal about coming up against Rangers? I'd imagine they'll be pretty confident of progressing.
I think they're pretty confident. It's funny. I mean, they're only if Sporting win their game in hand, Sporting will be 1 point ahead at the top of the league. So Benfica are just behind. But there's a bit of dissatisfaction this season with the way that they're playing. So I wouldn't say they're overly confident.
How are they playing? What sort of dangers will Rangers need to be wary of, do you think?
They have to my mind, a couple of outstanding players. There's a young midfielder, Jean Neves. He's only 19. And they brought him in as the replacement for Fernandes when he went to Chelsea.
Yeah.
And he's a box-to-box midfielder, and he is a very, very good player. He'll probably be the next one to go. And they also have a very, very good centre-back called Antonio Silva. And again, he's only about 20. Very good defender, good at bringing the ball out from the back, and he's a threat from set pieces. And they also have Angel Di Maria, he's not necessarily going to give them a full 90 minutes at full throttle, but he's still a very good player.
Yeah. Why do the fans feel then towards it? I mean, the coach, Roger Schmidt, isn't it? The German guy there. What's the sort of how the Benfica fans feeling towards him?
Well, they loved him a year ago.
Yeah.
There's been, I would say, there have been murmurs of discontent this season. They've had results. I mean, they beat Porto at home, they beat Sporting at home, but they've really struggled to score against good teams. Porto went down to 10 men. Benfica scored very late. Sporting were a goal up, went down to 10 men. Benfica scored twice in injury time.
Yeah.
And if you look at all the European games that they've played, they've really struggled to break good teams down this year. There's a lot of passing in front of teams without a lot of progress at times.
Okay. Interesting. And I mean, the atmosphere that Rangers are going to be walking into, when the last played there, of course, it was during the COVID season, so there was no supporters. But what sort of atmosphere awaits them, do you think, next week, Ian?
Oh, it'll be a good atmosphere. It's a great stadium. It'll be, if it's not absolutely sold out, it'll be close to sold out, and it's 65,000.
Yeah.
You've got to get there early enough to see the light show before the game. It's fantastic. And they have an eagle that have an eagle called Victoria who does the lap of honour before the game. That's good to see.
Yeah, I was going to ask if they still have that. So that's good stuff. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, she flew away. She flew away a few years ago, but they got her back.
I mean, there's going to be thousands of Rangers fans making their way over to Lisbon for the game. For those that are travelling, maybe they've never been to that part of the world before, Ian, is any sort of suggestions, recommendations, what they should be doing?
Well, I think certainly in terms of going for a drink, there's an area down at the front. The centre of it all is called Pink Street, and that's absolutely full of bars. And I mean, you're talking scores of bars around there, and lots of places to eat. There's also a good sports bar in that area called The Couch, and that's where people from all over Europe go to watch the big matches.
Yeah.
And then if people are interested in sightseeing, it's just a great city to walk around.
Yeah.
And the best viewpoint is to go up to the castle. And there's a huge square in the centre called Praça do Comércio. That's on the water. Again, absolutely surrounded by places to eat and drink. It's a very easy city to get around. There's a good underground network, and it's a good walking city. And it's not especially big.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I mean, it's a plum draw for you, I guess, then, seeing Rangers coming over and playing Benfica. You imagine you'll be in your normal seats in the home end, I'd imagine, Ian. So you need to watch what you're doing if Rangers go
in. Well, as I say, my wife has generously given up her ticket, and I'm bringing my dad over for the game. And we will be very well mannered. I've got to know the people around me, and we're quite friendly, but I don't think they know yet I'm a Rangers fan. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and Derek told me you've got a good wee story about your dad at a Rangers European game. He was telling me.
Yeah. So this goes back to 1962.
Wow.
My dad was a pro golfer, and he'd gone down to London, and he was at a club called Enfield Golf Club in North London, and a lot of the Spurs players of the time, and of course this is the great Spurs team.
Yeah.
They used to go there, and he'd given some of them lessons, and he'd get very friendly with a guy called John White, and the Spurs had drawn Rangers in the first round of the Cup Winners' Cup, and Dad said to John, "Well, can you get us into the ground? I know it's sold out." And John said, "Yeah, well," he said, "Look, I can't get you a ticket. That's all done, but I'll get you into the ground." So my dad got to the ground and was shown to the Rangers bench.
Wow.
And so I sat there on the bench. And at that time, you only really brought the manager and the trainer down, no substitutes, of course.
Yeah.
So Scott Simon and Joe Mason came out, sat down, and my dad had been an assistant at Turnberry, so he'd given Scott Simon lessons. So Scott Simon sat down, looked at Dad, and said, "What are you doing here, Jim?"
That's absolutely magnificent. That is superb. What a story that is. So, you must be really looking forward to this game then, your dad.
He's quite excited, yeah.
Yeah. How do you see it going then, Ian? How do you see the 2 games going?
Honestly, it's an absolute toss-up. I wouldn't be surprised if Rangers win. I think, just the last few games, Rangers have shown a lot of power, I think.
Yeah.
And some pace. And what Benfica really lack as a side at the moment is pace. And I could see Rangers sneaking it.
Well, I certainly hope you're right with that prediction. I expect it to be. It's going to be two big games, of course, but certainly 2 games to look forward to, isn't it? And I think having the second leg at Ibrox, I think might be a big thing as well.
Oh, I think so. And we know what Ibrox is like in a big night.
Yeah. Let's hope it's the start of perhaps another Seville type run this season all the way to Dublin. But certainly going to be a tough task for Rangers. But Ian, it was brilliant having you on. Thank you very much. How much are you enjoying? You've been out there, as you mentioned, 18 months now. The Portuguese way of life. Are you a big fan of it over there?
Oh, we just absolutely love living here. Yeah. It's a very, very easy place to live. The weather is generally good. It's beautiful. We live on the coast. Watch these gigantic waves. It's lovely.
Yeah. Do you get back home much at all?
I'm going on Thursday. I know we're going up to the Highlands for a few days on Thursday, and then I'm picking up my dad to bring him over. I go back 2 or 3 times a year. Aging parents, you have to.
Yeah. But good stuff. Well, hopefully, I was going to say, hope your team win, but I think we both hope that Rangers do the business in the 2 legs. But thank you very much for coming on. It's been a real pleasure to have a chat with you.
Thanks very much. Yeah, and let's hope it all goes well over the next 2 games.